Okay, this is gonna be a video when I get upset, obviously. But I feel the need to make this. I put a post up on my blog yesterday because I couldn't say it, and I'm probably gonna have a hard time talking about it, but I feel that I need to make this video. The post was called "Get Off Drugs While You Still Can." As many of you know, I'm gonna be looking away from the camera a lot. I was on drugs for a long time. Weed allowed me to bury my head in the sand and be totally self-centered and totally selfish and only worry about what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. I used to cut my godmother's hair, and I was quitting cigarettes, and one day she said to me, worry about getting off cigarettes, don't worry about my hair for a little while. And I kind of took that as rejection. I kind of felt like, because I was smoking weed and I was taking things in my mind that people would say, and I was twisting it and just doing stupid stuff with it. And I kind of took that as her rejecting that she didn't want me to cut her hair anymore. So I didn't really speak to her for a long, long time. And I remember my mother telling me that she would ask her, what had she done to me to make me so mad that I wouldn't talk to her? Because I was very close to her when I was younger. And I felt bad, but I felt so bad that I allowed it to keep me from calling her at all, because I felt guilty for not being around. And I think I knew she had emphysema, but I don't think I really cared. I mean, I cared about her, but I cared in a selfish way. I cared that she was my godmother, I loved her, but I didn't care enough to think about the fact that eventually she may not be there. And about a year ago, she got really sick. And my mom called me and told me she was really sick. And I didn't do anything to talk to her. I don't recall if I did. If I did, it was, something on automatic pilot. I didn't write to her, I didn't call her. I didn't do anything to let her know that I cared about her. Luckily, she pulled through and got better. Then one day I was at the dentist, getting my teeth cleaned. And I talk a lot, which I know is shocking. But I was talking, and yes, I can still talk when the dentist is working on my teeth. And the woman that was cleaning my teeth, the dentist, came in to check to make sure everything was okay, and I heard them say, somebody wants to say hello. And I thought they meant that somebody wanted to say hello to the dentist. So I just leaned my head back and closed my eyes, and I felt someone's hand on my shoulder, and they said, is that Garrett? And I opened my eyes, and it was my godmother, and I just started crying. And I told her I was so sorry that she never did anything. And she said, I wondered what I did, and I told her it was nothing, that it was being selfish. I would have rather sat home and played video games and been high and talked on the internet, which I really didn't do much of, but I just was selfish, and all that mattered to me was what I wanted to do and what I wanted to deal with. And she told me that she forgave me and she understood, and I said now that we were connected again, we were not going to be. She said she was lonely. That's what she said to me. And I told her she wouldn't be lonely anymore. And we set up a date to hang out. And she called me, and I think she was going out of town or something. So she told me she'd call me when she got back. And then when she got back, she got sick again. And she told me that she would just call me when she was free for me to come over and see her. And then my mother called me a few months ago, I think it was probably, and said, look, Tina doesn't want you to see her necessarily the way she is because she's not doing that great, but I think maybe you should just call her one day and say, I'm coming over to see you, and kind of push the issue. And I didn't, because I was still smoking and was still being selfish. Even though I was coming out of it, it still wasn't going out of my life. So as you know, about 54 days ago, I quit smoking. And last Sunday, my mother called me and told me that my godmother had had a heart attack because she couldn't breathe because of her emphysema, and it put so much stress on her that she had a heart attack and they didn't know if she was going to live. And that's when I realized that I had 20 years to spend with her, and I didn't because I chose to do drugs. I was very lucky. I went to see her, and I'm only sharing this if someone in her family sees this. I am not sharing this to tell her business. I'm sharing this because I hope that it'll help someone not make the same mistake I made. So I went up to see her, and her daughter had told me, meet us in the waiting room. I went to the waiting room, and they weren't in there. I'm sorry, I'm scratching the arm that's holding the camera, excuse me. And they said, they had given me permission. They said, just go back to the ICU, dial on the phone, and say who you're there to see. So I was very nervous because I was afraid of what I was going to see as far as what condition she was in. And I felt embarrassed because I hadn't been around and guilty and all these other stupid things. So I couldn't find her daughter, so I just went to the ICU and I rang the phone and they said, who are you here to see? And I said who she was, and they said, can she have visitors? And they told me to open the door. And I opened the door and I saw her with all these people around her. And she was very sick. And I had not really, when I saw her in the dentist office, she looked like herself. She looked a little older, because she is. But she did look sick, and now she looked really sick. She was really thin, and her chest was really big. And she just looked, she didn't look bad. She looked like she was dying to me. And I just kind of stood outside the room, and the woman said, that's her room, and I said, I know. And I was trying not to cry because I didn't want her to start crying and not be able to breathe or something. But as soon as I walked in the room, I started crying. And she held my hand. And she told me that she loved me and that she was proud of me that I had quit smoking. And I told her that I loved her. She said she wished I hadn't made a special trip, and I told her, don't say that. You would do the same for me, because I'm doing it because I love you. And she said that she loved me too. And then I told her that my mom was coming. And she said, oh, I don't want your mother to come all the way down here for me. And I said, stop it. Don't do that. But the point here is I don't need to go through the whole conversation, is I got to speak to her, and since then she's had a really hard time talking to anybody, because she can't, talking for 2 or 3 minutes, she loses her breath. And now she's not doing really well. She's doing okay, I think. She's stable, but she's not doing very well. So the point of this video and showing all this emotion and running tears and is don't waste your life. Don't waste your life on video games. Don't waste your life on weed or alcohol or anything else. Don't waste your time being ashamed of things that you have done in the past and allow them to keep you from the people you love, because people can die tomorrow. And once they're dead, they're gone. And you don't have the option to fix anything. I can fix it now. I can be there with her family. I can be there for my family. And I am doing that. And I am correcting my behavior. And I am growing up. But you have to realize that you only get one chance with people sometimes. And you don't want to feel like this. So that's all.